There's a small detail on almost every car that most people never question, even though it's always right in front of them, quietly doing its job without drawing attention. It doesn't move, it doesn't make noise, and it doesn't look particularly advanced, yet the moment it stops working, you notice it immediately. So what are those thin horizontal lines running across the back window of cars, and why are they there in the first place? It's one of those features that feels invisible until the exact second you need it, especially in conditions where your visibility suddenly starts to disappear. Let's get into it, right here, on History of Simple Things. Those lines on the rear window are thin electrical conductors embedded directly into the glass, commonly known as defroster or defogger lines. They're made from conductive materials like metal or ceramic compounds, which allow electricity to pass through them while still being thin enough not to block your view. They are arranged in parallel across the surface of the rear windshield and connected to the car's electrical system. When activated, they form a complete circuit. So instead of being decorative, what you're actually looking at is a built-in heating grid that's engineered as part of the glass itself rather than something added afterward. The rear window of a car faces a different problem than the front windshield. Unlike the front, it doesn't receive direct airflow from the car's heating and ventilation system. That means warm, dry air isn't constantly clearing it. Because of this, moisture from inside the car, like your breath, humidity, or damp clothing, can easily condense on the rear glass. At the same time, cold weather can cause frost or ice to form on the outside. Without a reliable way to remove that buildup, your rear visibility would quickly become obstructed. That becomes a real safety issue, especially when reversing or checking traffic behind you, which is why a direct heating solution is necessary. When you press the rear defroster button on your dashboard, electrical current flows through the conductive lines embedded in the glass. As that current moves through the material, it generates heat through electrical resistance, which is the same basic principle used in many heating devices. However, in this case, it's carefully controlled so it warms the glass evenly without overheating it. The temperature rises just enough to evaporate condensation and melt frost or thin layers of ice. Because the lines are spaced evenly, they distribute heat across a wide area instead of concentrating it in one spot. This creates a gradual clearing effect where fog fades and frost loosens until the glass becomes transparent again. You might wonder why the entire window isn't just one solid heated surface instead of having visible lines. The answer comes down to balancing visibility, efficiency, and cost. A fully coated conductive layer would either reduce transparency or be much more complex and expensive to manufacture. Thin lines, on the other hand, allow most of the glass to remain completely clear while still delivering heat where it's needed. Even though the heat originates from the lines themselves, it spreads into the surrounding glass. This means the spaces between the lines still warm up enough to clear fog and frost. The result is a design that looks simple, but is actually a carefully optimized compromise. Despite being built into the glass, defroster lines are surprisingly delicate. They sit on or just beneath the surface, which makes them vulnerable to damage from scratches, rough cleaning, or even removing adhesive like stickers or tint improperly. When a line is damaged, it can break the electrical pathway. This prevents that section from heating up. As a result, you might notice a streak that stays fogged or frosted while the rest of the window clears. That's why many car manuals warn against using abrasive materials on the rear glass. It's also why repair kits exist, allowing you to restore broken lines by reconnecting the conductive path. In some cars, those rear window lines do more than just defrosting. Manufacturers sometimes integrate additional functions into the same system. For example, radio or GPS antennas can be embedded within the glass using similar conductive patterns, allowing signals to be received without needing a separate external component. This reduces the need for traditional antennas and helps keep the car's exterior cleaner and more streamlined. In some cases, even keyless entry or communication systems can take advantage of these built-in conductors. Not every vehicle uses them this way, but the idea shows how efficiently that space can be used. What looks like a simple heating grid can actually serve multiple purposes without adding extra parts or complexity to the overall design. Those thin lines on the back window are easy to overlook, but they solve a very real problem in a simple and effective way. They quietly ensure that your view behind the car stays clear when it matters most, especially in cold or humid conditions where visibility can disappear quickly. Once you understand how they work, they stop looking like random markings. Instead, they become a small but thoughtful piece of engineering hidden in plain sight. It's a reminder that even the most ordinary details in everyday objects are often designed with a clear purpose, whether you notice them or not. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.